Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Last Epoch dev stream. As always, I'm your host, Mike. Hello. How are we doing today, everybody? Feeling good. As promised, I do have a new build today. We are going to be playing a Reperform Lich. It's just crazy. So doing tons of fun stuff. This is a build that comes from that same video I was referencing last time. I should probably bring up what that video was. Because there was a credit on that video. Sorry, just one second. It was Mau Mau. I'm playing Mau Mau's Reperform Deathsteel build. And I definitely looked through all of the nodes on the tree, and I know exactly how it works perfectly already. Yep. So yeah. Why am I playing this build? Because I think it sounds like it's fun. And I haven't played Lich in a long time. So yeah, we're playing this. I think it's gonna be fun. We are our gear's pretty great. I don't know if we can take on hundreds empowered yet or not, but it might be worth a shot. If you want to see the build, !build is working for this one in the description. And we are short void resistance, so we're gonna just try and go to the Black Sun and just like try and get the void resistance. Blessing, because why not, right? Give it a shot. Thank you very much. RenRenMX has resubbed for 1 year. That's your 1 year. You've been here for a whole year. Your anniversary is today. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us. I also got a brand new keyboard. And I thought, like, they do have backlit keyboards, and I'm just an idiot and didn't order a backlit keyboard. And I'm sad, but oh my god, it feels so good. That, like, yeah, I can live with it. We're going to try and power. We're going to see what happens. I might get my butt handed to me. We're about to find out. Multiplayer win, patch win, when they're ready. Obviously, it won't be for a while still. Nothing's changed on timeline, really. Ellie branded keyboard win. Ooh. Yep. I guess I should Death Seal, shouldn't I? Instead of just not using the main part of the build. My goodness. I didn't actually test this out at all before coming on stream, so the damage is just immense. Well, Death Seal's rocking? That is crazy talk. That is crazy talk. This is an empowered monolith. I'm only level 84. I love it. Oh! Still taking damage. Lots of it. But my goodness. Oh, I slipped out of form. Not good. This is a flashy build. I'm having fun with it. What kind of questions can I ask about the game? I mean, you can ask anything you want as long as it's not like mean or racist or derogatory or, you know, like I might not answer everything, but as long as you're not just being an absolute jerk, you're welcome to ask just about anything. I'll do my best to answer it. If you do have a question, don't forget to put @Last Epoch Game in the question and I will see it a lot better. Couple here. I like answering questions about the patch and multiplayer. I mean, I have no problem answering those questions. They're the same every time. Did you achieve the success you hoped for? I mean, you always hope for success of like, you always hope for more success and more success, right, I guess? But yeah, like, when we first started the project, I guess my initial hope when I first started was just like, to be able to make an awesome game that's fun to play, and I think we have an awesome game that's fun to play, so I would already measure it as successful in my own eyes, which is great. Pretty well everything that happens from here on out is just gravy, and I love it. Just crushed that! We just crushed that! That was great. I'm a little shy on Void Res. A lot shy on Void Res, actually. So I'm trying. I've got my loot filter set to like point out any idol that has Void Res on it, and Cold Res too. We are using. I guess I can go over the build a little bit here. We are using Grimoire, so it does. When we use a potion, we do have some pretty sweet Void, Necrotic, and Poison damage taking reductions. So there is that. If we are taking a lot of poison or void damage, I can just spam potions and it's a little safer for sure. The only other unique that this build uses is Marina's Lost Soul. Just a good caster weapon. But you are damned when you cast the spell, reduced health, increased effect of possess inflicted by hungering souls per stack of damned on you, which is nothing. But yeah. We didn't use it. Just following the build. Right here. Oh, nothing like that. I was just curious about whether LE will also be playable on Mac systems. Well, we used to have a Mac client. And it was causing us a lot of problems to keep up with multiple release platforms simultaneously. We just didn't have the pipeline for it. And so we dropped the Mac client a while ago, quite a while ago actually. Thank you very much, Magikuzer. Got it, nailed it. We took a little trip around the yard, but we got there. Reset for 2 months. Happy Friday. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us. As always, I didn't say it, all of our streams are for charity, so literally everything that comes in from the stream goes to this bad boy above my head here, which we're going for Oceans right now. We do charity every month, so this month it's Oceans, and I love Oceans. I live surrounded by one, so yeah, gotta love it. As far as being available on Mac systems, you can I'm pretty sure there's people in the forum that already have a way to still play it on Mac. I'm not exactly sure how they're doing it, I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure it is functional on a Mac if you... A little bit of a roundabout way, but we don't have a Mac-specific client. Just bought LE, really enjoying it, struggling a bit with getting resists, etc. up compared to other RPGs, but I'm sure it's my own ignorance is a rule of thumb with missing or keeping going, you get it eventually, lol. There's one thing I will say, if you're new, you may not be, if you're like an RPG veteran or just played them before, you may be putting a little bit too much weight on resistances. They are very important to have, for sure. But in most RPGs, if you have, say you're going to take 100 damage, and you have 75% resistance, you're going to take 25 damage instead. But then, say you have 50% resistance instead, you're taking 50 damage instead. So that last 25% of resistance between 75 and 50 actually halves the damage you take from that element. As it says in the tooltip here, enemies get 1% penetration resistance per level up to level 75. So at level 75 and above, they have 75% penetration built into it. This is not something you can overcome at all. It's just inherent to it. So effectively, you have 0 resistance at level 75 plus if you have capped resistances. So each 1% of resistance actually only deals 1% more damage instead of way more. So it's the last percentages of your resistance are not they're not more important than the first percentages of your resistance. So it's still very good to have and still very useful to have, but it's not as mandatory as in like Diablo 2, for example, or Grim Dawn. Grim Dawn was there was a lot of resistances you needed in Grim Dawn to just, you know, survive. Oh, our first unique here. What's that? Yeah, yeah. One thing I like that this build does is it takes in Reperform, it takes the node that splits Reap off as a movement skill from Transplant, because we're not using Reap as a primary damage source, but we are using it as a separate movement ability. So it splits their cooldowns off, which I really enjoy. Alright. Trading when it's ready. I got sad eyes when reinstalling computer and taking saves, and thinking saves were on our servers. Yeah, they are not. Thinking that due to logging in something of the game. Yeah, saves are all local at the moment. Multiplayer saves will be online. Online, offline, offline. Where's the next question? Speaking of Diablo 2 and Grim Dawn, is Ellie going to have mod support like those fine games? I forget what you said before. I think it was yes. We don't plan on... Okay, so first off, I wouldn't say Diablo 2 has mod support. I think there's a few people that have worked extremely hard to ram mods down the throat of Diablo 2 and have done a phenomenal job of it. But mod support might be a little generous to what's there. I think I do think that mods are a great way for communities to like extend the life of a game and to keep exploring what's possible inside of a framework and an engine, and all those sorts of things are like I love the ability to mod a game. I play a lot of Civ 6 if I'm just like want to relax and chill out, and I play Civ 6 with dozens of mods on it. And that game has mod support for sure. We don't really plan on having, at least initially, primary mod support where we're like actively planning specific things to say like, okay, this is how we're going to support modders in our community. It is we're not going to do anything to intentionally obstruct it. If we take an action that does obstruct it, it's for a specific other reason, and unfortunately modding is a casualty of that, but not as a like we're not working against modding, but we're not gonna unfortunately do anything to help it at first either. So like really it's just not a high enough priority thing for us to do, because we got to work on the initial game first. Basically, that's what it is. So, no support, at least initially. But it's not like we're gonna do everything we can to stop it or anything like that. Oh my goodness! That was real close to death there. I'm just gonna stand over here and rip blood a little bit. Yeah, we are using necrotic converted rip blood, I will say that as well. When will trading be ready? I have no timeline that I can share when it'll be ready. Do not know. Ooh, cold res on a little charm. A little bitty charm. We do not need poison res health regen. We'll take ward retention cold res for sure. Yeah. You know we need that XP. If don't forget, if you have questions, put at Last Epoch game in the question, and I'll see it better. I do see the first time chatters pretty easily as well. Ooh, that was beefy. My goodness, the explosions are everywhere. Ooh, a belt. What is it? Another ward trail. I didn't pick up the first one. They're like, "You want another one?" Ooh, what's this? What's a nice base for a ring? All the stuff that drops red right now for my loot filter is probably going to be pretty darn good. Ooh, I'll take it. Yeah, that's that lack of void res coming through right there, eh? Whoa. Ouchie. Alright. Is Ellie trying to simplify the massive chore of Grim Dawn resistances are? I mean, that's not the intent behind it specifically, no, but like, yeah, it is a simplified version. Grim Dawn has pretty intense resistance requirements. There's a lot there. This is one thing that I'm not a huge LP on that. A huge fan of builds like this is the health bar constantly being like pretty low. It always makes me so nervous. And I know it's like a free health bar and there's another one underneath. But I'm just like I'm almost dead all the time. This is a really fun build. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of active buttons to press, and I really like that in a build. Like I'm using basically every key I have. Big fan. When will there be some sort of patch where the game runs on lower spec systems? I've been reading a lot about people having best CPU, GPUs, and they run too hot. Yeah, so, for example, right now I'm running it on frame rates that are smooth enough that I have no issues whatsoever while streaming on a 4-year-old i7 and a GTX 1080 Ti. So it's like a decent system, and it was a really good system 4 years ago. It is not overly consistent with the problems we have. There are some settings that make things a lot better. I will say that, like, I'm not running on a shabby resolution either, but streamer mode helps a lot for frame rates right there. That does basically turns VSync on and limits the frame rate, which I know some people don't like, but you know what? It helps a lot. Next patch will have a ton of a ton of really small changes that will help with frame rates, and a couple bigger ones too. So, like, I mean, this is something we've been saying for a while. We're working pretty hard on frame rate stuff. Performance is a big ticket item for us. It's really important. So, next patch will help a lot. I can't guarantee that it's going to work on low-powered systems. Like, I actually think that our minimum system requirements that are on Steam are probably too low still. Oh, I died. Womp womp. I think they're too low. It is. So I do have a system that's very similar to that one, and I can run it on it. And it's one of those things where you're like, it technically runs. It's not great. So I'd like to get that running better on lower system on that low of a system. I don't think we'd ever lower that requirement though. And maybe if we get enough performance improvements, yeah, sure. Alright, have you considered adding base mana regen to the game in some way, such as through masteries, particularly some like Shaman are desperate for mana regen? I think that, like, you're talking about flat mana regen. The short answer, like, have you considered anything? Probably. In this case, yes, we've considered it. Is it going to happen? Probably not anytime soon, if at all. I think that it can create pretty, like, I don't think that, I understand, I hear what you're saying about the mana problems on Shaman. I don't think that's the solution to the mana problems on Shaman. If that makes any sense. That would be a solution, but I don't think that's the solution we'd go with. Death Seal's damage is just so unbelievably huge. It's great. That's where the deeps are at. Like, you turn that on, it's just boom, boom, ka-choo. Alright. Diddle says resubbed for 12 months in a row. Mike! Glad to have you here, buddy. Glad to have you here. Seen a few 1 years pop up. It's pretty cool. When we started doing this the second time, like this stretch of doing it, it was sort of a like, we'll see if anyone even cares, and maybe we'll do it for a few months. Turns out people care, which is cool. How's multiple testing going? Pretty great, actually. Are the community testers able to test at any time? As of a few hours ago, yes. Is there any set date for 1.0 Last Epoch? We have an internal goal. So we have a month that we're like, we'd like to hit that month. But there's not like a, this is it. And not something that we're ready to share. Not much of a Q&A if I don't read chat. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit behind. If you have a questions, please put @Last Epoch Game in the question. I'll scroll up and find your other question, probably. Oh, I did answer your question. Did a whole bunch. Did a whole bunch about it. Alright, what is the sweet spot for number of keys to press during the game? Grimdawn, some builds suffer from piano because too many buttons, and in PoE some builds are just one button builds. I mean, so we only have 5 buttons that you can press in the game as is. So it's never really going to get crazy. Oh, like 6 if you include potions, and 7 if you include movement, and 8 if you include the dungeon abilities. So you can get up to 8 in some like extreme scenarios. This is a pretty heavy button build here, I would say. I'm having a ton of fun with it. And there are some builds that people play in Epoch that are 1-button builds if you really want them. We try to incentivize 3-4-button builds as like things you're using frequently, but we don't force it, I think. And I think it's important that people can like find builds that sit in the sweet spot for them, if that makes any sense. And we try. I guess we try and take, have nodes in skill trees because each skill has a giant tree that goes with it. We try and have nodes in each tree that's like, this is going to make this a more active skill, this is going to make this a less active skill. So like, a good example is Primalist Companions. When you've summoned the maximum number of companions you can summon, the companion skill turns into an ability that you can activate. So like with the wolves, they howl, as an example, and it like buffs all the other, you and all of your other minions. And there's a node in the wolf skill tree that means that they just like will howl on cooldown, basically. I'm pretty sure that's still there. If it's not, it was there at one time. And so it kind of takes that button away from being a button you're using. Oh, come on, survive. I'm just gonna stand over here. You stand over there. We'll get along great. Come on. Yeah. How will you find parties? Will there be a system like DT for creating rooms? Currently, we don't have like a room lobby system. We have, so right now in our like what's live, what's testing right now, the only way to join a party is to just to message someone, to add them to your friends list, and like join the party with them that way, through the menus that are in game. We do want to have, and we're still planning to have, major towns like End of Time be a hub where you can actually find people. So you can like just you get into game and then you find your party in the world instead of having a menu. Ooh, little exalted bows up there. Might be a little tough though. I'm noticing this a little tricky. Let's go for these experience nodes down here. Let's start with this one. What is this? Glancing Blow. That's fine. We can do Glancing Blow. Autocast seems like a common recommendation on a lot of builds. Are you considering building it into the game? Once again, with like the consideration question, I mean, yeah, we've considered it. It's not something that we're actively looking at doing. Oh, if I could make it down the slope. We kind of look at like numlock autocast tricks or autohockey autocast tricks, or like keyboard macros and mouse macros and things like that just like autocast them as being like fine to do. Like, we're not against it being a thing, but we're not huge on that style of I guess gameplay as being the primary recommended thing for quite a lot of builds. And like we do actually have it built into to some builds at this point. What is it? Enchant Weapon has an autocast node on the skill tree actually. And I guess there's an example of us being like, okay, well, this is, if you don't want to have this button on your bar, you can do it that way. But really, we want to take those abilities, because there are several abilities that really thrive in an autocast scenario, and have their sort of default functionality be less conducive to that. And not that it's impossible, but just maybe it's not optimal to autocast it. So we're that's the plan. That's the goal, is to have autocast be, if you really want to, go ahead. But if you're gonna try and push the tippity top of the everything, or if you are just pushing your build as far as it can go, you're probably gonna get a little bit more mileage out of it by using it intentionally instead of on an autocast. And that just comes from changing the functionality of the ability itself. Oh, that's a cool item. I do like this item. If I was more melee focused on my reap, it'd be great. But I'm a caster.
Feel my wrath.
Transplant actually does decent damage, it's funny.
I see.
I think base mana regen would be interesting, unique with drawbacks, obviously. Yeah, it's... If we were going to put it anywhere, I think that's a good place to put it. What class is this? This is a Lich. Here's my passive grid. So I've got some points in base Acolyte, and then the rest of my points I've done to the Lich. And I'm putting points into this right now. It's my next node that I'm filling up. Get that Necro Pen. Are you guys ready to announce 0.9 release date yet? No. I believe last month you were thinking it would be earlier than September. I never said that, but you were getting pretty close to that. No. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is your opinion on scales of 1 to 10? I think the problem with scales on 1 to 10 frequently is defining what 1 and what 10 is. So my opinion on scales of 1 to 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 is either 1 or 10, based on what you've defined 1 and 10 as, and based on what people have defined 1 and 10 as in their 1 to 10 scales. So I have no idea if you think that 1 is the best or 10 is the best, the way you phrased that. So I give your scale of 1 to 10, 10, because I think that's the worst of this one in this way of putting it. Yeah. I don't know. Feels like a weird question to give you a weird answer. Hope you liked it. This is a dead end, isn't it? Yeah. Always go up there, don't I? I actually do get frustrated with surveys and wordings a lot. there was one I had recently, I can't remember what it was, but I couldn't figure out if I should answer 1, 10, or 5. And that's the weirdest one where you're just like, I have no idea what you're asking for. And like, it was about balance of something. And I'm like, because they're talking about balance, like, and I think the balance is really good, it might actually be 10 or 5, because it's right in the middle of the way they'd worded the things, and I was confused. Turns out I should have put 1, and I did. That health is real nice. We do like health here. I could slide that in vertically there. Should we do that? We don't need this poison res. The vitality's kind of useless. We still have way enough poison res. And 3 vitality is probably worth 8% increased health. You know, over 2k now. Are repetitive stress injury, carpal tunnel, arthritis, and other such things taken into consideration when making design decisions, such as avoiding skilled design that encourages autocasting? Yes, absolutely. And like, it is interesting that, like I've just said, like, we'd like to discourage autocasting in general. Yeah, and we do try to make it so it's not the only way to do things, right? Like, we try to make things like different ways to do it. I think there's just too much in the way of autocasting right now that's available. It's a pretty nice necklace. Also, the reason we have controller support is because people have repetitive strain injuries on the team. The game director has a repetitive strain injury from playing too much Diablo 2 as a kid, and so when we started the project, he was like, "We're doing controller support." Period. Yeah. So yes, we do take repetitive strain injuries into account. I think there's a big difference between having, like, an ability where you have to spam it every 1/10 of a second in order to be optimal, and an ability where you're intentionally casting it every 10 seconds. You know, like, I think there's a big difference there. And we'd like to be in the latter camp. And Salmon Joris has subbed. Thank you very much. Welcome to the party. Glad to have you here. Heal. Heal. Oh yeah, they're dead. Heal! So if anyone doesn't know, Death Seal basically pumps our, like, we get more damage for the amount of missing health, and Death Seal stops our health from going up. So it forces our health to like stay low, and gives us a ton of damage, and just starts pumping out damage. There's the proper tooltip. And we've got in our skill tree for it, it just like automatically activates the death wave over and over and over again. So that's where a lot of our damage is coming from. And then Reperform gives us a second health pool, so that when you die in Reperform, you get popped into normal form. And when you're in Reperform, your health is constantly decaying. So you have this sort of these things pushing your health low and bonuses for health being low. But if you do die, you don't die. You just go back to normal. But then you're pretty vulnerable. Alright. Are there any plans for a Twitch plugin like PoE gear sharing? Yeah. We'd love to do that, and I'm sure we'll eventually get there. I wouldn't say it's a core feature. So we're still a ways off from having that be something in the game. But yeah, it's great. I think that's a really... especially for games where you want to encourage streaming and encourage encourage minion builds. We do like to encourage minion builds. We were just talking about new minion builds to create, actually. But what I was trying to say, if you do want to encourage Twitch and Twitch streaming and community interaction with Twitch streaming, I think it's a very important tool, and I'm sure we'll get there eventually. But we don't have anyone working on it yet. Do you see more damage types being added to in the significant future? We've already got 7. That's quite a few. Like these 4 are pretty core. Poison's very common. And then having a 5th one that's sort of in the realm of necrotic and void is pretty common as well. Or a 6th one, I guess. And then getting a 7th one is pretty rare. And then you get something like Grim Dawn, which has, I don't know how many it has now. It's more. Anyways, I just saw actually on a scale of 1 to 10, 5 is not in the middle. You're absolutely right. I always start counting at 0. But yes, the what was I gonna say? Lost my train of thought, so that was funny. More damage types. I think it's unlikely we'd add more damage types. Definitely not impossible. The damage types that come to mind, like Shadow and Holy, are the next 2 that are like, yeah, those could be on the list. And we kind of treat Holy as like fire and lightning. When you get like Holy skills, they're usually fire-based. Sometimes they'll have a lightning sub-theme to them, or they'll be lightning damage. And that's in Paladin a lot. And then our Shadow is Void, right? And there's not, like, I'm not sure what the next damage type that comes after that is. It's definitely not impossible, but I would say unlikely. There has to be a really good reason for it, you know? Like, we already don't have many classes. Like, it would have to be, like, creating a new class, or, like, 3 new masteries simultaneously that use this damage type or something. Like, Void and Necrotic damage are already pretty underused. Partially because there's only one Void class at the moment, which is Void Knight, and there's no... like, we're still missing 3 of the masteries. Like, so Necrotic and Void are pretty light on who uses what. But they can be added onto pretty easily in future masteries as well. And Aaron, I know what you're doing right now, so when you watch this back later, no, I did not just confirm it. Alright. What system do you think will hopefully carry the 1.0 launch? Maybe Monolith or Arena or multiplayer or something else? Totally okay to skip this question if it's weird. No, I understand what you're talking about. And, I do kind of want to skip it. I'd love to answer it though. We kind of just want everything to be a little bit better, everything to be a little bit more polished, everything to be a little bit more complete. I think that's what's gonna be the big push on 1.0. It's it will be a push to bring a lot of new people into the game. Maybe there's new dungeons, new monoliths, things like that, new features in the monolith, new features in dungeons, things like that. Just getting those experiences to be better. I think having, and this could change. We're still a ways out, but I think having fewer major endgame systems at launch, like I don't think it would be smart for us to do an entire monolith level endgame system for launch. Like a second, like it would be like if PoE tried to make a second mapping level system at their 1.0 launch or something like that. I don't think, I know it's different then and now, but I don't think that including another system that's this expansive and this big would be wise at launch. Something that tied into this, maybe tied other systems together, improving the experience of these systems, that would be good to have. Keeping those gameplay systems that are available really strong, really tight, and really interesting. Because there are a few things missing, and there are things that people have talked about a lot in like critiques of Epoch and things like that, which they're not wrong. And we need to get right, really, before we move on to more things. Not move on, but like before we start adding like major endgame systems, we need to make sure the ones we have are really awesome. And I think they're really good right now. I don't think they're really awesome yet. So I really want to get to the point where I can say confidently that, okay, Monolith is really awesome. It's fun to play, it's engaging, it's got depth and complexity, it's, you know, all those sorts of things. I'm really enjoying this build. The more I play it, the more comfortable I'm getting with it. This is I got the character ready like minutes before the stream started, so I actually started a couple minutes late. Usually I start 5 minutes before just to get the stream rolling, but I started like 2 minutes before because I was like, I just finished putting it together before the stream started, so I hadn't actually tried any of it yet, really. But I'm really enjoying it. All right, any plans to add more stuff to Endgame? Fine, it kind of goes in with the question I was just answering, which is great. Great timing. Yeah, I mean, we did design the monolith system and the dungeon system to be expanded upon, both in a like we can slap down another timeline here sense, and we can shuffle these timelines around sense, and like we can add more dungeons to the world. You know, like we don't just need, we've got 3 right now. It's really intentionally set up to be able to add more dungeons, and we want to add more dungeons. And then also just more things to do inside of the monolith, and more ways to engage with the monolith, and reasons to explore. And these are all things that I think most people watching are like, yes, Mike, we know, obviously. So sorry for being a little bit of a broken record, but yeah. Alright, where's the next one? Is it possible to allow us to rebind alt as a noob? I have to hold it down a lot as an awkward key for me, and also the ability to choose toggle in the options menu. I think those are great suggestions. I do not have any idea where things like that will happen. Whoa, come on. But yeah, I think those are good suggestions. I think there's a few key binding things we've done. I would say mistakes, I should say, instead of things we've done. Mistakes we've made with our key binding setups and code relating to those key binds. So, like, for example, the item tooltip. Oh my gosh, I am in trouble. The item tooltip. The item tooltip code where it lets you use alt to, there we go, get back in Reaper, here we go. The item tooltip code that lets you, when you hold alt, that changes the stuff that's there. that is unfortunately using a direct reference to the alt key, and not saying like key bound to alt function, which all the other keys are, which is what lets us rebind them. So like this, like W is not like the thing that says when you press W, use your second skill slot, is not the W key. It's the second slot action. And then our key binding system has W as the second slot action key that maps to it. So Alt, Control, left click, and Shift don't actually go through that mapping system right now, and they should. It's quite a large job to convert it over, and so we haven't got there yet. From game design perspective, what is the point of having multiple resistances instead of grouping them into one resistance? I think, I mean, I think it's just more interesting. I think that's the sort of like the easy cop-out answer. It's just more interesting. If you have one just like resistance, it's just a damage reduction layer, right? Like it's just DR, it's just percentage DR, which we do have as another type of defense. But having these different types of resistances that you want to, all these different defensive pieces that you want to combine together, it creates a puzzle with your gear. Where if I was to take this offhand off, I was to remove this catalyst, replace it with something else that didn't have this lightning, poison, and void resistance on it. Suddenly I have to find that lightning, poison, and void resistance somewhere else in my gear. And if you just have percentage DR as instead of that, I think it simplifies things a little bit too much. And I think that, yeah, just adds a little bit of that adds complexity to the gearing system, I think, and it makes it more interesting, I think. Yeah, it's also a thematic thing, really. Like someone having like a I want to say like, okay, here's a great example. Just having a minion that's physically on fire being really resistant to fire damage but weak to cold damage, say for example, or having an enemy that's like made of plants and having it be really weak to fire damage. It's just having those thematic differences and then being able to differentiate the damage types for thematic reasons. It makes it more immersive, more real feeling. Hadn't really thought about that before now though, so cool question. I just sort of accepted it as a given, I guess. Oh, those Ember Mages. Those are beefy Ember Mages. They got the deeps. We got the deeps. Okay, where are we going? Ember Mages, die first. Whoa, Ember Mages die first. My health is just yo-yoing all over the place, and it's so nerve-wracking, and I love it. Don't love popping out of form. Woo, ding. This one. Alright. Could you make the portal slightly more responsive? Played PoE and LE and the portals won't take the first click on it. Yeah, I've noticed this as well, and this is something we're working on. Happens to me all the time. I hear you. If you've got suggestions or requests or feedback, things like that, the best place for them is the forums, as I will not remember that you asked that at the end of the stream. All right, where are we? With Master Sword 1291, welcome back. Glad to have you. 14 months. Wild. Very cool. Oh, I'm gonna die here. I'm gonna run because I'm gonna die if I don't. Those Ember Mages will just rock my world. Okay, let's grab a question real quick. With multiplayer testing having started, how do you feel about builds which do not focus on playing solo, but instead focus more on supportive roles such as granting armor with shield throw or damage with Orb of Decay? Love them. They're great. They're pretty cool. We're working. So there's a few cases where they're way too freaking good, and so we're toning some things down a little bit for those. But there's also cases where maybe they're not good enough, and so we're buffing them up in a different situation. So we're trying to give more options for things like that. We're trying to create more builds that can do that well. And there's a couple situations where they got out of control, and we knew they were going to be out of control, so we, yeah, it was no surprise really. Yeah, it's another thing to balance, and I think it's a play style that a lot of people really gravitate towards. And I also really like the creative ways that people do that. Like you say, it's not just about healing as like sort of that support archetype. It's also about like granting buffs to your allies, granting debuffs to your enemies, things like that. Like it can be support, doesn't need to be a healer at all. Boom. Goes the dynamite. Alright, can we say refinement over bloat? Sure. Not sure what that was for, sorry. When do we get Majessa in monos? That's an interesting thing, and it kind of there's lore reasons why she's not there. I want to fight her at 400 corruption with 5 damage mods so I can question my life decisions. Do that in masochist mode and I'd really question your life decisions. Alright. I saw that you answered a question on transmogs last week. It seems that transmogs might hurt your ability to sell cosmetic MTX. I disagree. And even if it did, that's game first. Yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about that. I think that having ways in the game to change the way your character looks is really important. Having to wear... For the record, I actually really like the way this looks, so I'm just going to take a shot at it for fun. Having to wear a silly green hat, because it's just the best thing to wear, is kind of sucks, right? Referring to Shaco in Diablo 2. I actually like the green hat. But anyways, that's kind of a running joke, I think, that you, like, stuck wearing a green hat. And I think being stuck, like, if you're stuck in that situation and the only way out is to pay $5, that doesn't feel good, right? No, we want, like, MTX to be, oh, I really love the way that looks, and that's super cool, and I want to incorporate that into how my character looks. Not, I'm trying to get away from how this looks. If that makes any sense. I mean, hopefully nothing looks bad and everything looks cool, but maybe just something doesn't fit your aesthetic. Maybe it just doesn't fit your play style, and you know, it's just not your jam. Maybe you're like, I really hate the color green. In which case, I'm sorry about this gameplay video, because my goodness, it's a lot of green. It's teal, I guess you could say.
Wither before me.
Oh, slipped out.
Feel my wrath.
Rhyme giant, I ain't afraid of you. Haha. Where's your avalanche now? Mike not playing a rhyme build. That's right, buddy. I'm playing community builds. Pew, pew, pew. I got builds lined up for days. Actually, I can't remember what I said. Last week I said what my build was going to be next week. Like 2 weeks from last week, I said what it'd be. Can't remember what I said. It was something cool though. Yeah, I know how the Unity key binding system works. We don't use it actually. Unfortunate, but you guys can refactor it. Yeah, we use a different rebinding system. Speaking of a fire minion weak to cold, you said that isn't a hard no on no more damage types, and you mentioned Shadow and Holy as ones with potential. I mean, I mentioned them sort of as like the standard types that I see frequently. How about breaking out water? Yes, considering it isn't straightforward or too intuitive as to what element Lagon is slapping you silly with. Yeah, you're right. Water's another big one. Water's quite often represented as physical damage, because like if you're getting hit with a big column of water, what's actually happening? It's the physical, like, it's like being hit with a tree trunk. You know, like you fall into water from big enough height. It's like hitting cement. And so quite some water damage is done as physical. But yeah, like that's another one that's sort of like, maybe you can make that work, and it's just, I think the question is that worth the extra complexity? Does the extra complexity of adding another damage type actually increase the depth? Is there like a strong enough thematic link to justify that complexity if it doesn't add that much depth to the game? And I think the answer to that question in this situation is no, but I'm not sure. Alright, hi, can you brainstorm a league mechanic in 1 minute, no pressure? Oh gosh. So here's the problem. I'm not gonna do it, I'm sorry. And the reason why is because I know that I'm gonna start just saying things that are league mechanics we've heavily considered and are like on the list, so to speak. And I really don't want to. If I come up with one off the top of my head, I'll be like intentionally coming up with one that like we've already said no to. And like has horrible like problems with it because of that. So I'm sorry. I'm I'm not gonna do it. I'm sorry. I actually really like that question. I think it's cyan. Teal is fairly dark green. You're right. That is cyan. You're absolutely right. You are technically correct. The best kind of correct. Oh, here's something cool. I 3D printed an ocarina. Yeah. I feel like if I play it, it's gonna blast out the audio in this. I could drop my audio. I know Zelda's Lullaby. That's it. Will Ignite/Bleed have interesting mechanics? This is a pretty common question actually, and we're looking to improve the interactions with Ignite and Bleed, because people look at Poison and they say, well, okay, Poison's got this cool thing that goes with it. Why can't we have that with Ignite and Bleed? And there's something to be said for simplicity in certain situations. So having some that are just like that are easy to understand and are just the basic forms of those ailments, I think is really interesting. Now, and we do have a way to modify ailments, absolutely. It has major performance problems with when you're modifying ailments applied from different sources, so like commonly applied from different sources. So if you have like, so for example, I'm using Bone Curse right now. That is a modified ailment that gets changed based on how I've spec'd the tree. it's really rare to have bone curse applied from more than one source at a time, especially in single player. In multiplayer, you can get it like up to 4 sources. If you have 4 people rocking bone curse, you can have it applied, and like that's kind of the limit. But with ignite, you can have ignite applied from hundreds of different sources in multiplayer. Like, it's insane because you can like, different minions can have different values for the way they're applying it, and like each player can have different minions for applying it different ways, and like enemies can even apply it to themselves, you know. Like, it's so many different ways that you could apply ignite. And so being able to modifying ignite based on a skill tree thing of like functionality modifying is what I'm talking about, not just damage, but like functionality modifying it is not really feasible. So if we make something interesting with ignite, it has to be either a trigger off of ignite, so like damage to ignited enemies, or you have a chance to cause ignited enemies to bleed or something like that. Like there's one, I think raptors can poison bleeding enemies or something like it's infecting the wound. And so there's interesting things we can do there with modifying it on a per like not just in general, but on a certain instance basis. And we try and do that as much as we can. So I think that's really interesting. And play it safe a little bit while we're out of Reaper form. All right, let's go. Why not, right? Bah! Let's go. Oh my goodness, run.
Feel my wrath.
He's a madman. All right. And but yeah, like we do want to make ignite and bleed a little bit more interesting, because there are some they are basically just damage type shifts of each other right now. That's basically all they are. And we did recently make a few changes to our ailment system that is that is giving us a couple more tools. And we are looking at some more commonly used ailments and some less used ailments, and changing a few things. So there are some changes to some adjustments being made here and there. And we do get the ignite bleed boring feedback a fair bit. Let me get the next question in here. I might do a dungeon here. I'm having fun. Ooh. Well, that's our transplant reduction idol that we're looking for. 6%'s pretty light, and the thing it gives on top of that is Poo Poo Garbage Town, so never mind. Drop those. I don't need that. Alright, are there any experience nodes around here that we can work towards? That one, but I lost that because I'm bad. Exalted. We're looking for an exalted relic because we do have an LP on our relic that we want to use. You said Bow Mage, I believe. Yeah, that was it. Let me write that down. Bow Mage. Next week build. Thank you. Yeah, and the Ignite and Bleed, whether they get like special mechanics right out of the gate, it's tough if we're ever going to do that on those ones in particular. But we are looking to make ailments in general more interesting, I think, is the important part of that. Sorry for my first question to be a nagging one, but am I the only one feeling that Naked Primalist looks funny? He does look kind of funny, right? I think it counts as nagging if it's the first time you say it. He looks a lot better with gear. I'll say that. It's cold. It's cold where in the winter time, so you should cover up your primalist. He doesn't like being naked. Where am I going? Does this loop around? It's way up there. I might just loop around.
Wither before me, feel my wrath.
Alright. The next question. I should be. Sorry, I just got absorbed into gameplay for a second there. I'm like, yeah, this is fun. I'm just playing, having fun. I forgot I was streaming even. Remember when you confirmed a summoner class in game before 1.0? Wait. Remember when you confirmed a summoner class in game before 1.0? Can you tell us more details? I mean, there's lots of summoner classes. So we have the Necromancer and the Beastmaster are the two primary summoning classes. You can kind of run a summoning Forge Guard as well. I think that's doable. You can kind of run a summoning Rogue. It's not very good right now, but you can run like I will say this right now in multiplayer, 4 decoy rogues surprisingly powerful. You just get like 4 rogues, all they do is decoy with like minion damage and stuff. Surprisingly strong. I doubt that'll survive to live, unfortunately, because it's kind of silly. It's really slow is the big problem with it. It's slow and it's not awesome to play, but it's very safe. It's just decoys all the time. Usually it gets played like Acid Flask Poison Heavy as well. Oh, that's gonna be a lot of damage.
Feel my wrath.
Alright. Do you see that starting with Dominaria United set Jumpstart will now be included in standard sets? No. What? Starting with Dominaria United, so it's a set coming out, I don't know when, probably next year or late this year. Jumpstart will now be included in standard sets, like Jumpstart cards, like the cards from these Jumpstart packs are gonna be in standard sets? Is that what you're saying? Also, look what else I just finished printing. Kind of hard to see in the light, probably. Oh yeah, gorgeous. Really pumped on that. The bottom, because it printed with supports, it's like all the supports connecting. It kind of sucks, but like, you know, I'll put some stuff in there. It'll be cool. I painted a little bit. Really pumped. Alright, did you see that's... Oh yeah, listen, please play it on Bowmage. Yeah, I'll play Bowmage. I'm assuming that's what it is. With multiplayer, offer more loot and XP. No, same. Spoiler time. It is getting kind of late. Long in the tooth for no spoilers, aren't we? Sure. I don't have a ton today. I'm sorry. It's a very busy week. But yeah, we've got just a little a mid-tier mage armor set that's coming out. I'm doing a lot of armor sets lately. There we go. Nice little armor set. Keeps jumping down. Further time, yes. Here we are. Do you plan to draw an arrow? Oh, an arrow quiver on a character's back. So like when you have like a bow and arrow actually have a quiver there. I think there is a quiver there, isn't there? When you equip a quiver, does the quiver not show up on your back? Or does the rogue just have one on some of their armor? I made it completely joking. I'm so confused. Sorry. That was the last one about the summoner class. I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Each set will include jumpstart now. Like, sorry, Diddles, will like each set have jumpstart packs in them? Or will like each set have jumpstart cards in the pack as like bonus cards like they do like from the list? I can just made it up. Oh, I see what you're saying. Cool. I understand. I'm gonna look up this thing about jumpstart later. Ooh, void res. Oh no, we got lots of void res, don't we? No, we need void res. Why did that not highlight? Get out of here, poison res. I need my void res. Jumpstart packs. I don't understand how that's possible. Like you get like bonus packs if you buy a box, or like. I'm sorry, I'm like so ignorant about this. I just have no idea what this is or how it can work. Like you open a pack of Dominaria United and it's secretly a jumpstart pack in disguise? That's what I'm picturing right now and I'm terrified. Yeah, keep those jumpstart packs behind me in case like someone's over and they want to learn magic or something like that. We can just like crack a couple of them and I can teach them how to play magic really quickly. It's probably a Shieldred in one of them and I'm just like wasting it. Whatever. She's mean. All the Praetors are. What's the latest developments on the performance improvements coming? They're even better. We were there's like a graphic representation of the frame rates in certain areas that we had. So like a graphic, like the mini map level, mini map of a level where it showed like hotspots of like red was really bad and green was really good and like orange was just okay, yellow was pretty good, that sort of stuff. And there's one that I saw yesterday, Monday, yeah, the start of the week on Monday, and it was mostly blue with like bits of green, and I'm like, what's blue? And they're like, it's better than green. My God. It's coming along great. Ooh, some nice LP boots. Didn't even see what boots they were. I just saw LP and picked it up. Oh yeah. They're fine. I like these ones better. Yeah, those are nice boots right there. Look at that health. Oh. This is a patroller, isn't it? I'm going the wrong way. When you have a patrolling monolith, it's always good to run clockwise because they move counterclockwise. I'm pretty sure they still do that always. If there's a loop. Oh, hello, Mike. Hello, Total Annihilation. How are you? I feel like that's the sort of thing you say when a meteor's coming to hit the Earth, and you just look at it like, "Hi, Total Annihilation. How are you?" What's the Can glaciers' explosions do partial damage? No, they do damage or not. Or as long as they hit the monster's hitbox, they do full damage. Yeah, yeah. If they're just on the edge and they just barely clip, they still do full damage. The mage armor spoilers still visible. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I just did like a whole monolith with that up. Oh boy. apologize. Ooh. That's actually pretty nice. Oh, maybe that's... Oh, there's the relic. There's the exalted relic. Okay, we've got to go do... We have to go do a dungeon now to try and get that put onto our relic. Get that +3 any of that, really. The void res, it's only 5. I'll... Let's just crank this void res up. Not try to seal it. Not terrible. Not terrible. Plus 19 doing that, but still not terrible. Okay, we're just gonna go LE res, I think. And mana regen. Nice. Alright. It's easy as that. We're gonna go take that and make a legendary with this. How close are we to beating this timeline? Ooh, we're pretty close. Do we try and just push? Oh! Oh yeah, you still need that. You don't need to do the quest, the optional quest echoes, but you still have to do the boss. Yeah, right. Let's just go for it. That was pretty lucky, and I will say, I promise, this is the actual live Steam version. I'm not, like, here. There's no betas running. It is the official live version. The major, yeah. And to be clear, it's performances without enemies. Yes, so it's just the levels themselves. Yes, yeah. Those are just the levels with the performance improvements that we are working on. But we are also working on enemy performance separate from that as well. So really, it's just the relative frame rate that you see on specific zones without enemies on them is dramatically improved. And then we're also working on the frame rate of enemies themselves, which is also improved from where it was before. So like, yeah, we're working on it. Like when we finally get those performance improvements out, I want to bring the person on the people. There's lots of people that are working on it that have been working on that, and like give them a standing ovation in here, because my goodness, they are the butt kickers. Yeah, they're doing really well, which is, oh, it's great. And it's not going to fix every single problem. It won't be like suddenly everyone on a 10-year-old computer is at 200 FPS or anything like that. That's not going to happen. But hopefully we'll solve the vast majority of the problems where people are really struggling in places that they shouldn't be. Ooh, 2 LP ring. Yeah, if you're going ward gained on crit, not too shabby. An arrow quiver is not shown on the back of the rogue when you equip it, so do you plan to draw one? I mean, maybe. I think there was a reason why we didn't do that. I can't remember what it was. I don't know what that was. There was some reason why it's not there. Thank you very much. Hooded Cloak. Sub to Twitch Prime. Thank you very much. Love that. Welcome to the party. Hang out. Stay a while. Listen if you want. For the fish. Because they live in the ocean. Hi Mike, one question, do you guys have any ideas or intentions of increasing the amount of item customization? Like for example, being able to further modify items implicits? There's always plans for further item crafting things. Like that's always on the table of like, ooh, what other sort of like item crafting angles can we take? As far as altering the implicits themselves on gear, that's like altering the implicit on this from armor and endurance to something else, like armor and endurance threshold or armor and life or something like that, just changing what those actually are. The way it's set up, pretty unlikely that would actually be changing to a different type of implicit anytime soon. That's not to say it'll never happen, but I'd say it's pretty low on the list. Let's get into a reperform and not just sit here and do nothing. Dice get... Oh my goodness, popped. Just gonna... I'm sure you're lovely at parties, but, you know, I just need my space right now. Ah! Okay, I'm here. I'm here to party. Let's go. Oh, leaving so soon.
Feel my wrath.
But we were just starting to have fun.
It eludes me.
Alrighty then. Oh, wow. My mom said don't talk to strangers.
Feel my wrath.
Oh, just don't quite have enough health, so I'm getting kicked out of reperform every once in a while. Because things have got some damage in here. Oh, come on, stay. Nailed it. Whew. Helmet. Haha, nice. Nice. Ooh. Get some cool items here. Some cool items. 25. Okay, we're gonna find something that's close to the center and get that last 25. Kill some stuff, that'll be 25, 21, 40, yeah. Enemies, rare enemies regenerate health, that's fine. So I hope that's fine.
Feel my wrath.
Oh, get out of that avalanche. Do you consider having an option for friends, friends leaderboards so you can compare yourself to those on your friends list? Yeah, leaderboards are really tricky to figure out exactly how many to show and how many options to give. That's one thing I really liked about D3 is having like the way they did their leaderboards with like guild leaderboards. You can like really easily see like, oh, on your friends list who's the best, that sort of thing. I really liked that. Cause I'm like, I don't stack up to people who are playing every day, but I know that my my friends and I are playing a similar amount, so it's I can compare reasonably well to them. And also, I guess just being able to see, like, oh, looks like so and so managed to do this. Cool. I think that's really neat. I like that a lot. I don't know if we are planning it right now, but I think it would be a really cool feature to add, and I like it. I hope we can. I don't think it's on the list yet. Here we go. Bye bye, Golem. All right. We're gonna go for this boss. I have a bad feeling about this. Like, should I go try and make my legendary first, and come back for the boss? Let's go for it. No guts, no glory, right? It's like going for the exact thing I need to do this boss. Earlier you said that in its current state, you have to add people to your friends listed party with them. Yes, that is true actually. Yes, that's true. Yes, in the current state, I think. Oh, Rhymer, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's true in the current state. I hope that changes as you expand the options. Yeah, because I don't like the obligation to add someone I may only play with for 30 minutes. Absolutely, yeah. Sorry if I implied that. Wouldn't be the case, but yes, you can't. The goal is to be able to party up with people that you meet in town and just be like, hey, want to go to this dungeon with me? Sure, let's be a party for a short amount of time. But yeah, okay, that is how it is now. Cool. I reperformed a little early, so I'm actually gonna just wait a second and let that finish, and let the cooldown finish because I want to be able to go into this with fresh reperform. So sorry about that. Throw some of these on the ground, probably. Oh, whatever, you can't take it with you, right? Okay, so another question. Right now, I feel lots of masteries and skills have some emphasis on sword, axe, wands, scepters, even 200 weapons, but I don't see much respect to maces in general. Do you guys plan on having future masteries or skills rework existing ones to this? Yeah, maces are definitely I would say a lower on the list, fantasy-wise, like, so far. I don't think that's going to be a forever thing, but it's harder to have like a class fantasy that like a typical class fantasy that like hits the that hits maces as a primary weapon, I guess, in a class fantasy very often. Come on, get some. Whoop.
This haze, this despair, oblivion burns within me. This world earned its room. Do you deny it?
Here we go. Yeah!
This world
I'm very surprised that we got there.
dead.
Very surprised we got there. Spell damage releases health? Is that what we take here? I think that's what we take. Maybe it's the increased leech rate. One of those two, I think, is the... One of those is the play. Someone tell me what to do. Thank you for the resub, Springing Games TV. Oh yeah, Singing Games TV. This is the one that I thought it was all one word, and it's not. Thank you very much for the resub. Happy to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, it's so much easier to look at it in chat, because in chat it says Singing Games TV. Thank you. First time here, so this isn't an inappropriate question to ask. Unless it's really mean, it's probably fine. But is there anything you can share on when Warlock could be playable? That's by far the mastery that I'm most interested in. Yeah, absolutely. So, Warlock will be... I'm trying to remember how I answered this, because I do get this question a lot. Warlock will be playable by 1.0 at the latest. It could be before 1.0, but it will be by 1.0 at the latest. And the follow-up question to that is usually, well, when's 1.0 going to be? Sorry, I can't tell you when it's ready. So it's, unfortunately, a when it's ready answer, which sucks, I know, but that's all I got for you. We are, like, we're going to get them done. There's lots of awesome stuff coming in those masteries. Warlock, Falconer, and Rune Master have a lot of... we're really trying to fill pieces of gameplay that we maybe don't have a lot of. We're trying to expand the base classes and kind of get them filling fantasies that maybe we're not really hitting properly, making interesting new play styles, things like that. I know I'm saying super vague things and a lot of buzzwords, but yeah. Oh, this is a cool item. 2 lightless arbor keys. That's always lovely. Bam! Love it. Very cool. Very cool. Alright, we're gonna go get a key. Oh, Silent FOS, Silent Foss has subscribed. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us. Temporal Sanctum is where I'm going. Let's just dump this stuff in here. Take that. Take this. Pro tip, you can right-click on a key and it will take you directly to where the entrance to the dungeon is, and you can right-click on the waypoints now. Even faster. Hi, I love this game. Thank you. I love this game too. Cosmetics when feels okay, man. Cosmetics when they're ready. We're really working on the primary game first. We want to make sure that the main gameplay is... Oh, I forgot to unlock these. Oh, Mike. It's a low level one, isn't it? Where's even the level on it? Does it not have a level? Am I just good? Alright, let's go. Let's hope that it's right.
Intruders? A waste of time.
Just gonna cruise through this. Flying. Let's go. So we might have to do a second one. Sure, don't care what it is. Will we get item linking in multiplayer or earlier? Definitely. I shouldn't say definitely. We are planning to get item linking in chat working. That we have a plan for it. We're going to implement that. We are in the process of overhauling our chat, like for the 5th time. But it is by far the best version of chat that we've had. This is more. We overhauled the back end of it recently, and we're overhauling the front end of it now. And it looks awesome. So yeah, we are. Once we've got that, like the core functionality down there, we're gonna be adding in linking to it. The next major patch is like gonna be the multiplayer patch, so you won't get it before multiplayer. I'll say that. Where are we going? This way. Nice. All right, let's go. Open. Yes.
Finally, I will have its power.
Yeah, you think you're gonna take it off me, but you ain't, girl. It's mine. My own. My precious. Is there a strongest entity in the lore of Last Epoch? Maybe a boss. There is. I would say the strongest. Well, there is. Don't forget to put at Last Epoch game if you got a question for me. You guys keep keeping the cosmetics very immersive, or can we expect to see some full panda costumes, some meme ones? We're definitely leaning more on the side of in-universe. I wouldn't expect to see like. I was gonna say, I'm gonna say things. I'm like, no, it's not a good idea to say that out loud. Some like specific branded thing of like a modern brand. Like there won't be like here's something like just be way like a Nike shoe won't be in game. You know, like we won't have like, yeah.
Epoch, I will have it.
Yeah, we're trying to keep things more in universe. They might be like a little bit less in universe than there will be a little bit more leeway on things that are there'll be like a tiny bit more leeway on MTX than in-game items, but they'll still all be things that you'll see in game. So you won't like have a gun skin for a bow, you know, like because there's still no guns in the universe. So there's they're all things that could be in the universe, but the things that are MTX, we're planning on pushing them a little bit more. You'll probably see more VFX associated with them. You'll see more, a little bit more over the top, a little more muchness. I don't know how else to say it. When do we get guns? We have no plans to add guns at the moment. That's not bad. We had like a physical caster class. All right, we're doing it. We're going for it. Are you ready? So really, we just don't want the mana regen. It's just like the LE res is also not great. We really want that transplant or that void res because we're low on void res in this build. But the transplant's just like, ooh, that's spicy. What do we got? And crossbows. Yeah, crossbows are on the list for sure. There's already an item ID for crossbows. I would say crossbows are probably a post 1.0 item type. It's possible they could come with a new class. I'd say that's unlikely. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, crossbows are on the list. What about one-handed spears? Lower on the list. There's no item type reserved for those yet. I love that effect. All right. What do we think it is? 25% risky move? I'm all about the risky moves. Yeah. God damn it. Alright, serves me right. Not ideal. Not ideal. That's okay. Which one should we start? We're not going to get through another one. We only have 20 minutes left. I don't want to do another dungeon because they're levels. I can hop in the arena. That'd be fun, maybe. Here's a question I'm surprised I didn't get earlier this stream. As a developer using Unity, do you have to follow the news about them laying people off and their acquisitions, or do you just use their product and ignore the rest? Okay, so I think I don't really have much of an opinion on this. We got this question in the Discord chat earlier today or late yesterday, I can't remember. We're not super duper affected by it. It's kind of not a big deal to us. Like, it's just like a, how does it affect Last Epoch? Well, it doesn't really. How does it affect 11th Hour Games? A tiny little bit. So it's not super duper important to it. I do like to keep up to date with things like this, and I guess I have a personal opinion about it. Really quickly, is multiplayer available? No, not yet. We have started our community tester program, which does have multiplayer active right now for them, but they are under NDA, so they can't tell you anything about it. So yeah, with the Unity thing, it's so for anyone that doesn't know, there was Unity was creating a game that was set to be like it was built a little bit like we don't have any released games that we've made ourselves in-house, so we're gonna make a game in-house to kind of feel what it's like to use our own tool, for what it's like for people that are using our tool, to learn that process. That's sort of the really high level boilerplate of what it was touted as originally. Just a little bit of background. And pretty recently, I don't know actually when it happened, that project was scrapped. I have no idea why that project was scrapped. There could be a really good reason for that project being scrapped. Who knows? Oh my goodness, I am not going to... will... Take bets now. Will I make it past one single wave? I don't think so, because I started at wave 100. I'm wave 102 already. Yeah, past one wave. Woohoo! Okay. Wave 103. This is surprisingly difficult. Ow, my face. Anyways, yeah, that was a fool's errand. I want to answer this question. It was, so they didn't really get very far with that project. It was pretty new. The project got scrapped. And the sort of the headline was, Unity cancels game name. I can't remember what the name of the game was. Unity cancels the game name, lays everyone off. And that's kind of what happened. Technically, that's true. The second half of that sentence is, over half those people got rehired into different positions. So it's not quite as bad as it sounds on the surface, really. And there's a couple recent acquisitions that go along with that story. Of there's a couple companies that they've acquired, and one of the company they just acquired, there's a lot of people that are not overly happy about that acquisition. I have no information about the company they acquired, so I really don't want to comment on that. But yeah, it doesn't really affect us that much. This is all internal workings of a different company. Yes, we use their product. The product we're using won't change from that necessarily. There might be some small effect in 5 years or something like that, maybe. But immediate effect, literally nothing. You don't have to use they give you options for things you can use. There's services they let you opt into. We don't use all of those services. We don't use all of those products. It's like a buffet that you can pick and choose from, and we pick and choose what we want, and we'll just keep picking and choosing the same things we want. That's kind of it. I hope it works out great for them. I really do. I hope it's a brilliant decision that works out amazing. I do not know enough about it to know if that's what's gonna happen or not.
Feel my wrath.
Oh, run. Okay, let's answer another question. How do the devs anticipate adaptive melee damage will affect melee builds in Last Epoch? I think it's it's just a slight update on that. What we're calling it is we're actually we're doing away with the word adaptive, and we're just now there's just a new stat called melee damage, just flat added melee damage, or flat added spell damage, or flat added bow damage, or flat added throwing damage, are all just stats you can have. So they're typeless, flat added damage that because they are typeless, they are adaptive. Slight update there, and I think what it's going to do is it's gonna bring more flexibility to the items that you can use, and it's going to make build crafting more interesting because it'll give you some more options. I think that's basically all that's going to happen with it. You'll be able to use an item. Maybe you're in a like you're a fire build, and there was a weapon that like you've got like tons of increased fire damage. Your ability is giving you fire damage. It's a fire melee ability, and you're all about fire damage. But this weapon that you really wanted to use because it had a sweet ability that went with it had added cold melee damage on it, and it's just like kind of makes it crappy. Suddenly, it's just a good item for you now, and it's just another option that you can use. I think it's gonna make there be more options of things you can use out there.
Feel my wrath.
So I'm looking forward to it. Are there plans to do some stat scaling balance to make crit chance and crit damage not be the dominant secondary stat for most builds right now? Only asking because every build I create just ends up being massive amounts of crit burst to clear groups of monsters and chunk bosses down with massive crits. Yeah, I think that the in general crit is too strong. I agree with you there. We've got some little changes that we've been slowly implementing in the game, like doing things to just like make non-crit hits be more interesting. Items that like remove your crit chance or remove your crit multi to get different effects and things like that. Items that say like non-critical hits have some extra effect that's interesting. We're trying to add in more things like that to just give reasons to not invest in crit. A little bit, and then we're also, I think the numbers on a lot of the affixes could get toned down a little bit as well. I don't know if it's their need of like a dire just like nerf bat, but just some little like tweaking, some dial turning. Because crit's fun. That's the other thing. Like a lot of people really enjoy crit. Crit's a fun way to play, and we don't want to take it off the table, but just make it less of an auto pick. So we're doing that, yeah, a couple different ways by maybe toning things down a little bit in the crit department, but more so. Oh, I'm doing both in once. Okay, let's go for it.
Feel my wrath.
The other one didn't aggro. Nice. Eat it. Because we don't want to kill crit builds, but we'd like to have there be other options too. That's all. Have you guys considered probably making a singularity instead of not allowing you to crit, letting you crit but with 0 extra damage, so it becomes useful for some builds? There's there's some weird things with that. We have considered it. And it's intentionally set up the way it is. But yes, we have considered that. Thank you for that great answer. You're welcome. As a follow-up, do you think this change to typeless damage will present new challenges in balancing items? Oh yeah, because the flip side of that, of like being like, okay, well, there's more options for this fire attack that now the cold weapons can be used as fire attack. Now it's just basically the pool of items to choose from is bigger, and sometimes what that actually does is makes the items you pick less diverse. It can homogenize the item choice. Let's pick on Shaco again. It's so good. It's like 90% of the endgame characters use that in Diablo 2 if they can. Like, that's just, endgame character, you can use Shaco? Great. It's just what every single other item is compared to. Sort of like, are you going to use something other than Shaco? Justify using something other than Shaco. That's the question. So whenever you see, like, if you frequent Diablo 2, like, subreddits and people post circlets all the time, magic circlets, rare circlets, like druid pelts, all those sorts of things, and it's always just like, is it better than Shaco? That's like the benchmark. It has to be better than Shaco, and Shaco's real hard to get better than. There are certain situations you're trying to get, like run walk breakpoints, or cast speed breakpoints, or MF breakpoints, things like that. There's certain things you're not breakpoints in MF, but just like as much as possible. There's a few things you can, like, and dream for, like, dual dream setups for paladins, and like there's reasons to use other helmets, but you have to justify it. And like, I think I just rolled through pretty quickly almost all the options, and it's the same thing on a barb. Like, if you have Ariad's face, it's sort of like, justify using something other than Ariad's. Good luck. And so having these things that are opening up the options can sometimes cause that to happen a little bit, which is not ideal. So yeah, it does give us more balancing challenges, but hopefully we can make the effects on the items the interesting part instead of just raw stats. Because that's one of the things about Shaco that makes it so good, is that it's just so many raw stats that make it so good. It's not just flat DR, it's that plus 2 to all skills. Like, it's just, that's good for everyone. Alright. Would you consider making crit cap at 80% unless you're dual wielding? That's an interesting thing. I think that I've never heard that suggested before. I don't think. Maybe I have. I'm not a huge fan of it at surface level response. Is just like, not a huge fan. I like the idea of making it harder to get to 100% crit. Big fan of that. But having it just be a hard cap unless you're dual wielding, not a huge fan of. Maybe making it like a lot easier to happen if you're dual wielding. Maybe that's like, okay, you gotta like really make some sacrifices to get there if you're not dual wielding. Yeah, I can see that being an option. There's so many builds that thematically fit crit so well, that aren't dual wielding builds. So especially the first thing that comes to mind is bow builds. Bow builds fit crit thematically so well. Like, you're so accurate with your bow that you can like pinpoint their eye every time, and it's like, you're that good, that, like, you're that accurate that you're pinpointing their eye every time through armor. Like, that's why you're 100% crit, because you're that good at pinpointing spots. And like, that's thematically really appropriate and really cool. Having it be on like a hammer, and that you have 100% crit on a hammer that you're swinging at someone, less thematically awesome. I think it's less thematically appropriate. Like, a critical hit is sort of that, like, in my world, I've always pictured a critical hit. Maybe this is different for other people, but I always pictured it as like you found the weak point, you've managed to be precise enough that you've hit the one specific spot that really that like it's critically damaging them. It's extra, instead of just like hitting them anywhere. You've pinpointed the one spot that's like, ooh, got him. And that thematically doesn't fit a hammer as well in my world. I got the head every time with a hammer. Hey, I'm just tuning in to say I came across your game during the summer sale and I'm addicted. Awesome. Don't forget to go outside. You woke up my love for ARPGs again. I can't wait to see this game pop off at 1.0. Me too. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. Glad to have you here. hard caps kill the fun? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. A lot of times yes, probably. Yeah. I'm a great fan of the proc system in Last Epoch. I love skills that proc other skills, items procking skills, etc. Any update on the UI ideas to have better idea on what the sub skills do? Yeah, skill details are that is something we're still working on, and that's expanding this menu here to have well, to change what's here, and then also having an extra window for skills, or being able to just like flip through this like tabs to see the skills to change what's here, but having more details on skill specific interactions and skill specific stats, so you know what the skills are doing themselves is still something we're planning on doing, and having the proc skills, exactly what they're doing. What's a good example of a proc skill we can look at quickly? Great. This cast things, Rosie's Ice Flask. Oh my god, it's not even there. I like just picked out of the blue something. This should show the Acid Flask tooltip, and it doesn't even show that. Come on, Mike. This has some, doesn't it? Bone Nova? This should show Bone Nova. Alt's the button, isn't it? Am I crazy? What's going on? Did I just find two that are a problem? Check transplant? There's one. Nailed it. Thank you. First try. Yeah, so currently this is basically all that shows up. Is just the default tooltip that shows basic information about it. I'd like this to be... having an easy way to get this information quickly is really tough. Alt is the button. Yeah, I had it. It's just like, I found two. Bone Golem and Summon Skeletons both have nodes that are missing their alt tooltip information for skills that they interact with. Oh well. I know someone's been going through a lot of the skill trees and fixing up inconsistencies, and there were a lot of tooltips that were wrong. They'll be like, this one's like, maybe this one's one that's wrong. It says like armor 200, but it's actually armor 400, or it's actually armor 100. It's doing nothing, or it's doing something completely different. There's a lot of them that are wrong that we found. There's a huge change list of things that are just like, whoops. Anyways, the skill tooltip is a good start, but I don't think it's all the information we need. I think there needs to be other things we can find out from this, and I'm not sure the best way to do it. I'm not sure if that's even in this menu. That might be something that needs to happen as an expansion to this menu here. So that's still in the works at best right now. We're still working on this menu and getting skill details into here. Sub-skill information is also needing to be worked on, and it's not there yet. To be fair, they have gotten much better. They have gotten much better. Thank you. Yes, we are working on it. It's improving. Always getting a little bit better. Transplant Corpse Explosion. Yeah, that would have been a good one to do as well. Where is that? Yeah, there's the Summon Skeleton one. I don't even know where it is. There's another one. I was going to see they both reference bone armor and they both show the same tooltip. Same with that one. Like, yeah, there are some there. Yeah, that doesn't have it. Anyways, we're about to hit 3 o'clock. That's the time I say. Well, 3 o'clock my time. About say goodbye here. Let's find someone to say hi to. Oh, let's go say hi to someone who's brand new. Oops. Good thing the site's muted. Last multiplayer soon question is coming out the gate. Multiplayer will be coming eventually. It is not ready for everyone yet. It still needs a ton of work. We're doing everything we can to get out as soon as possible. It's coming along very strong. We're very happy with how multiplayer is advancing. It's not ready. If we release it now, people would freak out because we released something so unfinished. It's just not ready. I'd love to do it as soon as we can for you. We're working on it, I promise. It's coming along great. I hope you had fun today. I know I did. We'll see you next time, same place. If you have any more questions while we're gone, Discord, Facebook, I don't check Facebook, sorry, Reddit, I check that. Our forums, I check that a lot too. There's lots of helpful people in the community, happy to help you as well. And I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you enjoy yourself.